if you got to be happy, you need to understand what sadness is. If you need to know the power or the satisfaction of being victorious, you need to know the pain of failure as well.
Welcome to another episode of Bhavan's Toastmasters Leadership Podcast. If others can do, you too can do, because it is simply superb. Ladies and gentlemen, this podcast is going to help you out to know more about leadership skills, the impact of challenges on the leadership in different perspectives by different personalities. Today we are very happy to have with us the much elevated, much motivated, a small profile about her. If I start saying about this personality, from dawn to dine I can speak. She's an HR manager in a corporate field for about 6 years. She's a corporate trainer and moved to applied behavior analysis since 2017. Second master's in applied behavior analysis in 2020. And she works with specially abled children. Kudos and salute for her dedication. She has her own venture called the Pitch Club, a communication and confidence building center for children from the age of 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, why to wait more? Let us hear from DTM Nancy George Vijay. Welcome, madam, to our show. Bhavan's Toastmasters Leadership Podcast. It is simply super. Madam Nancy George, we would like to know something more about you from you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mahesh. And it's an honor to be here amongst all of you. Thank you for the invite as well. I started my journey in Kuwait right after university in 2010. I came to a company and started my field in the field of HR. I started as a HR process specialist, then got into many different activities of HR, and then slowly and gradually I climbed up the ladder like everybody else and started to work as a HR manager for about 4 years. That's when I realized that the corporate field wasn't what I was exactly suited for. Because it gave me money. But somewhere at night when I went to sleep, you have to sleep with the satisfaction that you truly made a meaningful difference in someone's life. And so I ventured into the field of special education. I had no idea what I was getting into, except that when I used to go to my husband's office, I used to see these kids. And I was very, very intrigued. That's when I decided, why not try this? Because I loved that half an hour when I would wait for him. The interactions that I had with his little ones was truly making me happy. And so I quit my HR manager's job. And at that point of time, everyone said that was the most stupidest thing that I've ever done in my life. I myself did not know. Maybe it might have been the most stupidest thing, but I was like, no, life is a challenge. Let's go for it. Let's try to do things that make you happy. And so I started. It's very challenging. There were times when I thought I wasn't fit for it, but I pushed on. And within a year, I got promoted to lead. And then I realized that just continuing this way wouldn't be enough. I knew that I had to put in a bit more effort. And so I invested in a master's in special education. So I got my second master's. I still continue in the field. And I also have my community program where you can kind of call it a CSR also. My pitch club initiative, where I realized that little children from the age of 3 needed help with communication. If you set them up at the right age, that's it. They're sparked for life. So that was when I started. In 2017 itself, I started my own venture called the Pitch Club. Until then, I was like a guest lecturer, a guest teacher in different schools for public speaking. But then I thought, no, let me give it my all. Let me have my own stuff. So that was my professional life and a mix of my personal life.
Thank you very much, and we salute you for the untiring dedication and service towards the differently challenged people. Really, God bless you. People say that Corona is always a foe. What is your opinion about this? Corona really a foe or a friend too? Both sides are the same kind.
See, this is kind of the most trickiest question that we've been thrown with. It's like asking a virus or something that has caused immense damage, how can it be a friend? We needed something like the coronavirus, something like a pandemic to help us realize certain values of life. But that's how life is, isn't it? Because if you got to be happy, you need to understand what sadness is. If you need to know the power or the satisfaction of being victorious, you need to know the pain of failure as well. So unfortunately, even though Corona is and might be the biggest and the most deadliest foe of our times, unfortunately we needed that to remind us of our values, to remind us of the value of having a family, the value of being able to travel, the value of being with your loved ones, the value of getting together. We needed something like that. It's tough, but that's how life is.
Thank you very much for a different perspective of this dreaded, invincible and invisible corona. DTM Nance, people always say that I am successful because of my challenges, the threats. Yes. May we all know that. What were the challenges for you to come to this successful position that you are there at present?
So I would like to describe this in 3 different parts, because since we're talking about my life, I have my professional life, which goes in one direction. Then I have my personal life, which goes in another. And then I have my Toastmasters life, which is the only social life that I'm really engaged in, which goes in another direction. So in my professional life, like I said, the challenges that I found or I faced was when I had this sudden drastic change from a corporate field to special ed. It was very different because in a corporate field, our communication styles were strict and straightforward. Not strict, I would say it was diplomatic and straightforward. If someone did get things done, you could just say like, I'm sorry, but this is the deadline. I need to get it done within these days. Thank you. That's it. But when it came to special education and dealing with therapists who worked with special children, you had to be extremely mindful of what comes out of your mouth. Every word had to be calculated. Even to the therapist and to the children, every word is written down. Every smile is noted. So that was a huge change and a huge challenge for me. But it helped me in a lot of ways. Because when I started in this field, that's when it taught me a lot of life lessons as to how you need to be patient, as to how a child can make a mistake 1,000 times, and yet you need to be there with the person, doing the same thing over and over and over again, explaining the same thing over and over and over again until the child got it. That taught me that if I could do that at work, no matter how exhausted I was, to children who are my own but yet are not my own, maybe I should start doing that to my kids too. So a whole perspective change happened in terms of my family relationships as well. So throughout this entire journey, I understood that, your family is a powerhouse. The second is the support of your friends. And the third is that the whole thing lies in you yourself. If you want to gain, if you want to get out of something or get up and fight back, you can. And that's what my personal life taught.
You rightly said. You just poured your heart out saying that if the family people are with you, if you have got a very strong family bond, you can achieve any goal in your life. But we would like to know now that what this Toastmaster International has done for you. What is the impact of Toastmastering and how this drastic change happened, which is because of the impact of Toastmaster International. Please.
So my Toastmasters journey started in 2014. And the only reason I joined Toastmasters because my then boss, DTM Praveen Madhavan, he pushed me into it. No other reason. I did not want to upset him. I wanted to be in his good books. And I came to a Toastmasters meeting that was in January 2014. And slowly I started getting into art activities and designing there. And that's when the club gave me an opportunity to be the VPPR. I got to learn a lot of things about marketing and social media. And from there, I moved on to become a VP Education. When I became a VP Education, I learned how it was to deal with people, to set certain goals for people, help them achieve it, and thereby help my organization achieve their goals. Then I became I became the president of the club. That's when I realized that to be a president of the club, you need to handle all these people. Now, when you're at work and you're a HR manager, yes, you've got a lot of people working for you, but that is easy. They're paid for it. They're expected to do it. So even if you tell them something, they would do it because that's their job. But in Toastmasters, it wasn't their job to do everything what a president tells you. So that's where I learned certain people skills. How can you motivate people to do things when they're not being paid for it? How can you push them so that their passion is around, they're motivated, and they gain professionally and personally along with us gaining as a club. And the Nancy that you see now is a whole different person than what you see in 2014. One simple example is that I used to speak very, very fast. No one would really grasp because before you grasp, I would move on to the next point. Now, with regards to my vocal variety, I know when to pause. I know when to put your message in. I know how to speak in a way that it conveys my point the way I want it to be conveyed. Then that journey, when I started investing on myself, also portrayed in the competitions that I started taking part in. Because I took part after all those years in 2019. 2014, the first year I took part, 1 month after I became a Toastmaster, I reached till the division level. And then again, I competed in 2019, 1920 year. And it took me all the way I went all the way to DTAC and I won 2 different championships. One is evaluation and another one is table topics. It also taught me that winning and losing are 2 sides of the coin. It really didn't matter, All that mattered are the fond memories that I carry, especially this year, because like I said, competition was on a whole different level. You were friends competing with each other and you're like, damn, I didn't do this right? That's where I missed. And they're like, yeah, if you had done this, you would have won. But yet, we're the thickest, the closest of friends you can ever be. So that's what Toastmasters has taught me.
When a stone is chiseled many a times, it becomes a precious diamond. With your positivity, with your facing the challenges, and definitely your experience with Toastmasters made you a precious diamond. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time with us, for expressing yourself, and definitely to say something about the progress of your leadership skills with the impact of Toastmasters International. And you definitely proved again that if others can do, you too can do. Ladies and gentlemen, here we come to an end of another episode of Pawan's Toastmasters Leadership Podcast. If others can do, you too can do. Yes, be here to learn more about leadership. Here with myself, Mahesh Iyer, your host, signing off.